Are you looking for a delicious dessert that tastes homemade without all the work? Well, my key lime bundt cake couldn't be easier and it couldn't be more delicious. Grab your apron and let's get started. But first, here's what you'll need. A cake mix, a white cake mix. It can be like vanilla, or I'm using French vanilla today. Eggs, sour cream, instant vanilla pudding, vegetable oil, and key lime juice. Now, if you can find key limes at your grocery store, you could use those, but I find this bottled juice works great, and you can find it in the drink aisle at your store. For the glaze, we're going to be using powdered sugar, a little bit of cream, and some more key lime juice. We're also going to be grating a little bit of zest from regular limes to add to the glaze and the cake. Start by preheating your oven to 350 and then mix together the cake ingredients. Here's a little tip when you're working with a cake mix. Always put the wet ingredients in first and then put in the cake mix. That way you don't end up with one of those dry pockets of cake mix at the bottom that didn't get blended in. Mix it together on medium speed for about 2 minutes. Now that we have the cake mixed together, we're going to add the lime zest next. And lime zest is a key ingredient not only in the cake but also in the glaze. Zest is rich in oils that are full of flavor, but they don't add additional tartness. Plus, the green flecks are going to look really pretty in this pale yellow cake mix. So let me give you a few tips while we're talking about lime zest. The zest is the very thin colored outside exterior of the fruit. As you can see, I've already done something. You only want to get the colored part. The white part is called the pith, P-I-T-H, and it's very bitter, so make sure you don't get into that part of it. And that's true whether you're zesting a lime, a lemon, or an orange. And another thing, you know I'm all about freezing, and yes, you can freeze zest. Just grate it out onto a piece of parchment paper and put it in 1/2 or 1 teaspoon little sections, flash freeze it, and then put it in a zip top bag. If you like all kinds of tips to make yourself a better cook, then subscribe to my channel and hit the like button while you're at it. I've had lots of years of cooking experience and I'm happy to share what I've learned. If you have any questions about cooking, let me know and I'll reply in the comments below, or if there's something you would like to see me cook, let me know and we'll give it a whirl. Thank you. So the batter's finished. We mixed in the lime zest, which is beautiful little green dots against this pale yellow batter, and now it's time to fill our bundt pan. You'll want to grease your bundt pan. I use this Williams-Sonoma Gold Touch bundt pan. I absolutely love it. I also use their spray and I never have a bit of problem with the cake coming out at all. So bake this at about bake it at 350 for 40 to 45 minutes or until a wooden pick in the center comes out clean. So I took this out of the oven. I ended up needing to cook it an extra 5 minutes because at 45 minutes, my toothpick still had some stuff in it. I have let it cool on this wire rack for 10 minutes, and so now we are ready to flip it out onto the wire rack. I usually take a plastic knife and go around the center just a little bit because I found if I'm gonna have a place that sticks, that's where it usually is. So here's the moment of truth. And here's how I do it. Turn it like this, and let's see. It sounded promising, and there we go. Looks great. Let's let it cool completely, and then we'll add the glaze. Once the cake has cooled completely, then it's time to make the glaze. For most of my baking items, I'm all about the store brand and saving a few pennies where I can. But on powdered sugar, I do buy the organic brand. Regular powdered sugar has cornstarch in it, which leaves a weird aftertaste. The organic, it has tapioca starch in it, which I think leaves a better flavor. So I've measured out the ingredients for the glaze here, and I will tell you this is a half recipe. My husband and I don't like just tons of glaze, but the exact measurements are in the recipe below. So I've measured out a cup of powdered sugar. I've added the lime juice and the lime zest and half the cream. And you're going to want this to be the consistency of corn syrup because we need to glaze it on there. So mix that all together. Let's see how it looks. I would say that's pretty darn good. So options. I like to glaze my cake on my cake plate or plate stand. It probably will leave some drips around the edge of glaze. If that's a deal breaker for you, one of your options is glaze it while it's on the rack, and then once it's glazed, move it to your cake plate. Another option is glaze it directly on the plate. Take some little pieces, rectangles of wax paper, and just outline those around the edge of your cake to catch any drips. Another option would be just let it drip on the cake and then, or let it drip onto the cake plate, scrape those off and eat them because that's the baker's privilege, right? So let me kind of show you how I do this. I use a spoon for it. Start on the top and just kind of work your way around, dribbling some on there and let it dribble down through those little valleys and crevices. And oh, I wish you could smell it. It smells delicious. So just go all the way around and make it pretty. So here is our beautiful key lime bundt cake. It's sweet and tart and delicious. If you have a little bit of zest left over, you can sprinkle that around the top to make it extra pretty. As I mentioned earlier in the video, this recipe is super freezer friendly. My husband and I are empty nesters, so we don't need to eat a whole bundt cake, although we probably could eat a whole bundt cake. We don't need to. So what I do is I slice it. We eat a few pieces, I slice it, the rest of it, and wrap each slice individually in plastic wrap, put those all in a zip-top freezer bag, and put it in the freezer. It'll keep for a few months. Then you're ready to have a piece of cake with some coffee or take a treat in your lunch or for dinner or whatever. Another option would be, cut it in half or fourths, whatever works well for your family. I hope you've enjoyed this video on how to make key lime bundt cake. And if you enjoy the flavor of lime, check out my short video on how to make limeade. It's so refreshing on a hot summer day, and the great thing about it is you don't have to cook a simple syrup to go in it. So check that out. Thanks for joining, and we'll see you next time.